you in a sec.
Cool.
Great. Okay, welcome everyone to another edition of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. The idea with these, we're connecting classrooms to scientists, adventurers, and conservationists around the world. And we got a few classrooms on camera with Simon today. We've got, let's see, if I could get Mrs. Capone's class all the way from, where are we at here? All the way from Freehold, New Jersey. You can get a big shout out to everyone out there. Say hello. Hi. Wonderful. Now we got another one, Mr. Greenfield in New Jersey. So let's see if they can compete with a little louder scream from their side. Hello, Mr. Green's class. That definitely wins on that side of Freehold, New Jersey. Okay, let's see what we can get out of Mrs. Farouk's class there down in Mexico. Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mexico.
Wonderful. Awesome. Okay, and then we've got ourselves here. Who have I missed? Ms. Alexander's class. Big hello from you guys. Look at that. And I think you guys are you guys in Brampton?
Yeah.
Yes, looks like Brampton, Ontario. So all the way from everywhere in North America. So that's fantastic. Well, I want to introduce Simon Donato. He's going to give you an amazing talk about an expedition he did. I don't even remember when that was. When was it, Simon?
We did.
We did together. That's right.
October 2014 now.
Oh, man. So it's October 2014. Did an amazing expedition with Simon, and it was a real pleasure. Simon's a Canadian geologist, entrepreneur, TV host, world-renowned explorer, ultra-endurance athlete. He's best known for hosting his television series Boundless, but is also the co-founder of Adventure Science, which is a company that combines his passion for field-based research with ultra-endurance athletics as a way of giving back and making a difference. First project was searching for missing pilot Steve Fawcett, but since 2008, Adventure Science has conducted numerous projects around the world, from things like studying the relationship between ultra running and muscle damage to searching for undiscovered archaeological ruins in the Middle East, finding missing people in airplanes, and exploring the Tsingy in Madagascar. As you heard, I had the privilege of joining Simon on this adventure, and I got to learn firsthand how amazing the work they do with Adventure Science is. And so I'm excited for you all to hear that. And then I'll mute your mics for now, and I'll let Simon take over from here. Go ahead, Simon.
All right, Travis, thank you very much. Great to be back in the Google Hangout. It's a great initiative, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to dive right into the topic today. Travis, just let me know. I'm going to do the screen share, and let me know if my presentation does not, well, let me know if it comes up, I guess.
Okay.
How are we looking?
Nope, we're back on your camera. Back on your face.
Really? It's far less exciting. Okay.
Share the whole screen instead of just the specific program. That might work better.
All right, so I'll just share desktop then. Better?
Yes, we see it.
Excellent. Okay, guys, so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Madagascar, and if we're lucky, Travis will chime in near the end of it and speak to his area of expertise, which is primatology, and he's one of the world's foremost lemur experts. So hopefully I'll leave some time at the end for him to talk a little bit about that, because I do have some slides that he could speak to, but we'll have some time for questions and answers afterwards. But first of all, who knows where Madagascar is? Do we have a class that can just yell out what continent it's closest to? Africa. All right, I want to hear if anybody's seen that Disney cartoon Madagascar.
Me.
Okay, only part of that cartoon's true. So, yeah, Madagascar is an island off the southeastern corner of Africa. It's split away from the continent of Africa nearly 200 million years ago, so it's been on its own for a very, very long time. And because of that, a lot of interesting things have happened, both biologically and geologically. So I became interested in Madagascar through my job as a petroleum geologist. I was looking at oil reservoirs and ended up coming across a really interesting area in Madagascar called the Tsingy. And Tsingy, Tsingy, basically translates to the place where you can't walk barefoot. So you'll see as we get through some of these photos how rough and rugged it is. But as I started exploring, and if you can hear that vibration in the background, they're doing work on the street, jackhammers, so unfortunately I have no control over that. But anyways, we went in there, basically a team of 20 of us, to explore this Tsingy area for archaeologic sites, see if we could discover any caves, any new caves in the area, try and find some dinosaur tracks, and Travis led us through an exercise in identifying lemurs. So we did some lemur surveys. Okay, so this is a closer view of Madagascar right here. That little dot just above the M is basically where we went. So we're on a remote side of the island. The capital city is all the way on the opposite side of the island. So that little aircraft in the inset, that's the photo that most of the team, or so that's the airplane that most of the team flew in on. So one of the things we learned very quickly, and Travis has known for a while, is that the roads in Madagascar are not in the best shape. Most of them are not paved. Most of them are just dirt road, and they're heavily rutted. So you're lucky if you can go 40 or 50 kilometers an hour on these roads. So this is what the Limestone Labyrinth looks like when you get really close to the Tsingy. As you can see, it is very, very rugged. On the left side, or at least on my left side of the image, you've got that man in blue. That's Tim Pitts. He's an Army Ranger from the United States, and he's exploring some of the area there. There are forests in the Tsingy, and you'll see that the area that we visited does have forest. If you look at the other one, this is Ian McNairn. He lives in the Rocky Mountains with me in Canada, and he's climbing a root system. So that's not even the trunk of the tree. Those are the roots that are coming down from the surface high above. Okay, so the first thing we needed to do in terms of setting this project up was look at the map and figure out where we could explore. So these lines and dots on the map are the result of me carrying a GPS and our teams carrying handheld GPS devices when we went out. So we'd track our routes. There are no good quality maps that exist for this area. We literally went off the grid here and explored completely unknown terrain. Even the park rangers in the nearest town of Antsilova didn't know what was in this part of the park. So it was very exciting for that reason. But I remember Travis and I having long conversations before we actually got to Madagascar, trying to figure out where the base camp was going to be. So when you do an expedition like this, there's multiple ways you can do it. The way we chose here was to have a central base camp where the teams would leave and return to at the end of each day. It was a place to have meals, it was a place to share our findings, and really to store our supplies. So we were looking for an area that was on the edge of the forest, but near a water source. So Travis went in a few days early, ahead of me, with his special team, and if you can look at the map, you see potential base camp. There's a little thumbtack up high. I had thought, well, that there's a river moving through there, might be a good spot. We'll have access to water, and that's obviously important. So when Travis arrived at the small town of Antsilova, the first thing he did was get out and explore this area for its suitability as a base camp. And he found an excellent spot near that thumbtack that served us very well during the project. So, you know, it's more than just trying to understand what the science is going to be. There's the whole logistic side to getting organized, especially when you have 20 people to move around. So this is a photo just showing you part of the team, and I've listed we've got researchers there, we've got athletes, we've got a medic there to help us in case any medical needs arrive, we've got media and communications there, So again, a very diverse team. Travis and I are standing next to each other, and the flag in the middle, that's the Explorers Club flag. Travis and I are both members of that Explorers Society, which is based in New York City, which is actually where I'm broadcasting from today. Travis, I was just at the club last night. So it's a great club. So I'm going to show you one video clip here of when Travis, myself, and Jim got started on our trek. So again, there's no maps for this area, and the first thing we had to do when we got there was go and explore the area and see if what we had planned in terms of all the surveying was going to be something that we could actually do, because everything that I had read and that Travis knew about said this place was just ridiculously difficult to travel through, and nobody could do it. So this is about, if I can get this video going. Go.
And we've decided to keep moving at night, mostly because it's cooler temperatures and we're very low on water, and we're going to be continue to head into a barren plateau where the drainages are definitely dry. So we're not going to see water for quite a while, if at all, tomorrow until we get down toward the river. So we've got to take advantage of the cooler temperatures and ration our water accordingly.
How long can a human go without water? Don't say we'll find out.
I'll find out. No, we have no problem. You can suffer for a couple of days without water if you had to, but we've already low today. Tomorrow would be a hard day if we had no water, but at worst condition, we're going to get water at the end of the day. So we'll be thirsty as hell, but we'll be okay.
Simon, we didn't see the video, but we did hear it all right. So I don't know if that's just a technical thing, but we heard it all right.
Yeah, I mean, that was just when I interviewed you guys before we had that nap. It was dark anyways. It didn't play on mine, so let's see if I can move to the next slide here. Seems to be hung up a little bit. Okay, I don't think this might be a video. Let's see. All right, so guys, yeah, that interview, that was Jim talking. So Travis, myself, and Jim went out, and basically we crossed this area of the Tsingy that was so difficult and dangerous, we decided we didn't want to go back that way. And we basically had to keep pushing east on the Tsingy, which meant we ran out of water. This photo here shows Jim and Travis treating some water that we found in this little hollow spot in a rock. It had rained about a week earlier, so there were still areas with water, but what we learned very quickly, and much to our dismay, was that as we walked uphill to the east, crossing this Tsingy, water disappeared. So where we had camped, there were streams and ponds and no shortage of water, but once we crossed the worst part of the Tsingy, everything just dried up. So our water bladders and water bottles went dry, so we started drinking anything we could. We were cutting open bamboo and drinking from the chambers. Here, the guys are filtering some sludgy water that they've got to sieve through a cheesecloth, basically, to get the leaves and the gunk out. So, these are some of the things that hopefully you don't have to deal with when you explore, but occasionally do. So, obviously, we survived the experience and learned a lot from it, but you do have to be prepared to push the limits a little bit when you're in new areas.
Just around the neck.
Neck? Okay, great. We filming? We rolling?
Oh yeah.
So we're grabbing some water out of this hole that Simon found. It's full of mosquito parasites or larvae. Some dirt, mud. Doesn't smell great. We've got a buff, filtering it out a bit, and we're going to just chlorinate the heck out of it. Water's the most important thing for life, so we're going to drink what we can find.
And that quadruples our current water supply.
Okay, Well, that was our introduction to the Tsingy for the three of us, but things got a lot better after that. You can see here we're exploring. This is the bridge is in a national park that we saw afterwards, but again, just showing these photos to show you how raw it is. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, that's what the Tsingy could look like. Millions of little limestone spikes chew right through your running shoe. So here we are exploring, looking for caves this day. Robin's moving through a very narrow channel, and George is pulling himself up on just one of the many rock features that have been eroded in the Tsingy. We'd spend our days exploring, and in the evenings we'd come back, have a meal, and then try and relax. The Tsingy was very sharp. There's George sewing his pants. But, the guys would just spend time playing dominoes. That's Mami. He was our local expert, and he works with Travis, so he was invaluable in the field as well. Okay, so let's get into some of the science that we were after. So speleology is basically cave research and cave studies, and caves exist throughout the world. Typically, they exist in carbonate rocks. So usually limestones, rocks that can be dissolved by water. So whether it's groundwater seeping through or you've got water draining in from the surface, sometimes this water will find an area that's weak within the limestone and start to dissolve it. And as it dissolves it over time and millions of years, it can create large passageways. That's what's happened with the Tsingy here. We found a cave that ended up being the third largest in the national park, and it was over a mile long. So the local rangers that we were working with, they gave it the name Enyo Hibetsara, which translates to Big Beautiful Cave. They'd never seen the cave before, and as far as we knew, we were the first people in the cave. So that was a pretty cool discovery for us. Here's what the cave looks like once we mapped it. This is if you were to view it from the air. And there's a number of different passageways. You can see from the map that some of the passageways are very narrow, others are much wider. So the cave is very, very interesting, and there were a number of very tiny passages. Some were flooded that we didn't even explore. So there is potential that the cave could be even larger. This is a picture of Travis looking at one of the cave features. So this is something we call a speleothem or stalactite, and basically it results from water dripping from the ceiling over time, and that water carries minerals. As it evaporates, it precipitates the minerals and creates these cones. So there's lots and lots of speleothems and cave art in a sense, all over the place. It was very, very beautiful. We call this one the elephant's trunk. Here's some more examples of what we saw inside the cave. George is looking at some speleothems in a very narrow passageway. Below that image, I'm looking at, again, some more of these stalactites, and to the right, there's a flow stone. The left side is a flow stone as well that I have my hand on. But you can get very intricate patterns in these too based on the way the water flows across it. Okay, so I'm a paleontologist. That's what I focused on going through school. And one of my goals out here was to find some dinosaur tracks. So to the south of where we were working by about 20 kilometers, we knew that some researchers had found dinosaur tracks in the past, and our goal was to try and extend the range of these tracks. So basically, when these tracks were made 180 million years ago, dinosaurs were coming down to the edge of an ocean. At low tide, they'd walk out onto the mudflats and look for a meal, whether it was a stranded animal, something in tide pools that didn't make it out with the tide. Usually there's easy pickings at low tide. So in this case, most of the tracks that were found in the south were from theropod dinosaurs. Have you guys heard of velociraptors?
Yes. Yes.
Good. Right. So those are theropod dinosaurs. They're bipedal. They're predatory dinosaurs, and that's basically what we're coming out onto these mud flats. So the dinosaur tracks that they found down south were from raptor-like dinosaurs. Well, Travis had actually left at this point because he had to go to another project, but I took a small team into a very remote area. Somebody might want to put their mute back on. Yeah, so we took a small team to a very remote area and started exploring this region for tracks. And I was really happy because it wasn't me who found the dinosaur tracks. It was actually Jim from those earlier slides who came across a very faint indentation in the rock and asked us to stop and examine it. And it turns out we found a couple sets of dinosaur tracks. So that's what these images show. And what made me positive that they were dinosaur tracks is that when you get a ruler out and you measure how wide they are, how long they are, and the distance between each step, you realize that there's regularity to it. So if you or I were to go for a walk in the mud, our footprints would be relatively, for each of us, would be relatively the same each step, and the distance would be the same.
Sorry to interrupt you, Simon. Ms. Alexandra, I think it's your mic. I can't control it on my side. If you could hit your mic on your end.
Okay, we'll try that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Simon.
All right. Yeah, that's a little better with the feedback. Okay, yeah, so basically, sometimes things aren't going to look as they seem in the textbook. But if you get the ruler out and make some measurements, nature has a way of repeating itself, and that's what led us to realize that we were looking at dinosaur tracks instead of just some random erosion. So that was pretty exciting. And these dinosaur trackways are the most northerly known to date in Madagascar. So that was a big find for me. Okay, so with those two check marks on the project list, we also have archaeology and biology. So, Travis, you were with Tyler when you guys you found the pot together, right?
Yeah, Tyler went up in there, and he's the one who found it.
Right. So when we got into the Tsingy guys, we kind of split up into teams to explore the area and cover more ground. And our medic, Tyler, poked his head into this one little cave. Basically, all I said to the guys were, walk every passageway, poke your head into every cave, and make note of what's in there, because you never know. Something might surprise you. And this surprised us. This pottery is at least 300 years old, we're guessing. It's Vizimba age, which are some of the earliest people to colonize Madagascar. And they had a very distinctive pottery. And as far as we know, this is a new archaeologic site. We leave what we find in place. We measure it, we take photos of it, we share it with people who want to learn about it, but we leave the artifacts behind. So that was an exciting find for us as well, again, because these type of sites aren't very well known in the park, only in the deep south. And if you look on the other side, those cute little guys are lemurs. Those guys, well, that's Travis's world there, but lemurs are endemic to Madagascar. You won't find them native, at least, anywhere else in the world. There's a number of different lemur species. Some are most active during the day, some are most active during the night. These guys are a mix of one species on the bottom are active during the day, and I believe the one in the little rotten tree hole there, that's more of a night lemur, but Travis could correct me on that.
No, that's right. You got it.
Cool. Yeah, so that was our project, guys, and I wanted to keep it very short today, around 20 minutes, so I think I've hit that. If you have any questions about the lemurs, I'm going to defer them to Travis. But anything else about the project, I'm more than happy to tackle now.
Awesome, thanks, Simon. So let's start with Mr. Alexander's, or sorry, Mr. Greenfield's class. Let me turn on your mic here. Do you guys have a question for Simon?
Hi, my name is Ella. What was your favorite part of the Tsingy Madagascar?
Hi there. So I believe the question was, what was my favorite part of the Tsingy? Is that correct?
Yes, that was.
All right. Favorite part of the Tsingy? Definitely.
Turn off your screen share too, eh?
Pardon me?
You can turn off your screen share if you want.
Okay, maybe I'll do that. Okay, good. My favorite part was definitely getting into the labyrinth. It was like it was in a corn maze. I've never been in a corn maze. Something that we have in Canada, but it was like being in a gigantic maze, and you had to find your way out. So it was scary on one hand, but it was also very exciting because, I mean, you're discovering new passages. That's how we found the cave. We'd all split up into those teams, and I was with Tim actually, and he and I had even split up inside one of the main passages and found that cave. So it was definitely exploring inside that labyrinth. Good question.
Great, Simon. How about Mrs. Capone? Does your class have a question?
There you go first. Be real loud. Yes.
Uh-oh, something happened.
Give us 1 second.
All right, we can hear and see you.
Okay, go ahead, Carrie.
I
just unplugged.
Hi, my
Howdy.
name is Carrie,
Hi, Carrie.
and I was wondering how long the journey took you.
Well, for most of us, it took almost 3 weeks. So to fly from where I was in Canada, I had to go to Paris, and then from Paris, I flew all the way down to Antananarivo, which is the capital of Madagascar. So it was basically 2 days of travel, and then once we got to Madagascar, Travis did it a different way, but we flew across the country, which was a few more hours, and Travis picked us up in a truck, and then we had a bumpy drive to our camp. So right there, I think we'd already hit 3 or 4 days of travel just by the time we got to our camp. And then we had about 2 weeks of exploring once we were there before we headed home. So yeah, this was a very big project and took quite a bit of time.
Okay, Mrs. Farouk's class, do you guys have a question?
Anyone want to ask a cave question?
For Simon?
My kids are being a little shy, and also we were sort of a surprise attack because somebody dropped out. But I do have a question about the cave system there. I'm just wondering, with the Tsingy and the structure of it being so unique with all the pointy tips of the rocks, how is it that that occurs there, but something like Mammoth Cave in Kentucky is what you get elsewhere? What makes that location so special to give you, you know, some of the most uncrossable terrain on the planet?
Well, that's a good question. Mammoth Cave's hugely extensive cave system, right? But you know, it's really the mineralogy of the limestone. It's the exposure at the surface. So there's basically no soil on top of the Tsingy, and it's been uplifted through geologic processes. So I mean, it's exposed on the surface, and it's a temperate climate. So again, you've got a lot of precipitation and moisture. I mean, those would be some of the theories that I would lend to it. But through the papers that I've read, there's really no definitive mechanism that that they say, well, it creates the points over here, but no points over in Mammoth Cave or other spots and other limestone karst environments, for example. So, but climate and the limestone exposure basically have everything to do with it.
Thank you. Can I ask one more or no?
Sure, well, why not? Well, one more, and I'll go to the next step just after.
Okay, so the dinosaur footprints, we're about to move into our evolution unit. Is there anything in particular that you saw that might be a source of engagement for my students to get excited about the topic of evolution?
Oh, yeah, the topic of evolution. Well, I mean, evolution is, something that we trace. Like paleontologist's job, basically, is to track species over time, and given enough time, you can see changes in the fossil record as one animal morphs into something else or becomes something new. Tracks don't necessarily do the job that way. They show presence or absence, but not necessarily the speciation events. Although, what's really cool about this trackway is it's one of very few mega trackways in the world. And a mega trackway is simply a place where there were a ton of dinosaurs leaving tracks at one given time in the past over a huge area. So we're talking, many, many square kilometers or miles. So this is likely part of a mega trackway system, and it goes to support the fact that there was a very healthy dinosaur population living in Madagascar at the time, both the carnivores, the two-legged dudes, and the four-legged sauropods, the herbivores. So there's far less herbivorous tracks mixed in, so it looks like it was mainly hunters out there on the mud flats. But I mean, for me, evolution is very, very exciting, and there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of refining the lineages of life. And there's theories like gradual evolution. There's punctuated equilibrium, which you'll probably learn. That's a Stephen Jay Gould theory. So yeah, the rock record tells us quite a bit if you're willing to explore it and listen.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
How about Ms. Alexander's class? Do you guys have a question for Simon?
Go, Danielle. My question is, what is the most exciting place you've ever been to?
Most exciting place I've ever been to? Well, that's an excellent question. Madagascar and Oman. It's very hard to split the two apart. And Madagascar was so exciting because of the little pre-expedition adventure that Travis, myself, and Jim had. We ended up getting rescued by the military. They had to fly a helicopter out there, and we were out of food and water for well over a day. I remember Travis giving us our peanut rations because he brought a big bag of peanuts with him. And well, not big enough actually, but anyways, you put the palm of your hand out and he'd give you about 3 peanuts, and that was your dinner. So yeah, that was pretty exciting. Oman is where I did my PhD. I love the Middle East. It's beautiful. The culture is wonderful. People were fantastic, and again, we were off the grid in an area without maps, and it was phenomenal exploring there. We found some wonderfully preserved archaeologic sites, towns and villages that were hundreds of years old and had been forgotten about. We found pottery and tools and all sorts of things there. So yeah, definitely Madagascar and Oman. I love those 2 places. Texas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Mr. Greenfield, do you have a question? Another question from your class? Let's see here. Go ahead. We should be able to hear you now.
Hi, my name is Ben. What kind of bike do you use to climb up mountains?
Hi, Ben. What kind of bike?
Yeah.
I ride a mountain bike, an Opus mountain bike, full suspension. Yeah. What bike do you use?
BMX.
You have a BMX? That's pretty cool. I started with the BMX, so maybe you'll graduate to a mountain bike for one day as well.
Awesome. Mrs. Capone's class, do you guys have a question for? See if I can. Go ahead. We should be able to hear you. Yep. Go ahead. Oh no, it looks like we can't hear you. Maybe you have to turn your mic on. I can't turn it on from here. It's not working on this side. If you can turn your mic on that side. Someone got it figured out. Looks like we're sorting it out. They're itching to ask this question.
Just called in IT.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Can you wave if you can hear me? Yeah, you can wave, but I can't hear you yet. I'm trying to turn your mic on. Let's try it again. How about now?
Under your microphone. Okay, stop.
Yeah, there you go.
We got you.
Go ahead.
Jacob.
Hi, Jacob.
My question was, what made you want to explore this specific place?
The Tsingy. Good question, Jacob. I used to work for Exxon as a geologist, and I find oil around North America. That was my job. And we were having a problem with one of the areas that I was working. There was a limestone, which we call it a karst, is the geologic term for it. But basically, there was some limestone bedrock that was hard to predict. We didn't know what the surface of it was going to be like. Usually the bedrock layers are generally flat. This one was up and down, and there were holes in it, and it made our lives difficult. So I wanted to look at modern examples on the planet that I could actually see, that I could go to and touch and explore and look at images of, so that I could better understand maybe what was going on underneath the ground, because this was, 1,000 feet deep. It was very hard for us to predict it, and it affected how we pulled oil out of the ground. So basically, I used Google and started looking at karst landscapes around the world, and I came across the Tsingy, and kind of like my eyes bulged out of my head. I thought, this place is ridiculous. I can't even believe there's a spot like this that exists. The only other spot that exists like this in the world is in China, and they call it a stone forest. But yeah, the Tsingy is extremely rare. What makes it even cooler is that it preserves a certain type of forest, and that forest has been cut down over most of the rest of the planet where it used to occur. So this is a really special place for a number of reasons, the geologic, the biologic side, because that forest gives lemurs a place to live. So that's basically what got me interested. I came across it while I was working as a geologist, and kind of put that on the list of places that I wanted to visit and explore. And when I had some time and started meeting great people like Travis and George and some others, I was able to make it happen.
Cool. Ms. Farouk, did you guys get any more questions on your side there?
Yeah. What's that? I see we're on air live, guys, so maybe we want to find out what they're going to ask us.
Would you guys have a question?
Did any students come up with a question? Do you want to ask them that one, Isa, that we talked about? Yeah, come on over, Isa. Come on over, Isa. Isa. Sorry about that.
Don't be shy. I'm far away to bite.
You look in here. Like, no. You just, yeah, okay. This is the camera.
Hi, my name's Isa.
You can't see you still.
Sorry. Okay, there I am. Hi. So, well, me and my classmates are wondering about in caves. We know that there's a lot of different life forms, and we're studying biology right now. So we wanted to ask you sort of what is your favorite cave life form or cave?
Well, that's a cool question. We saw several different species of bats in there. Plenty of spiders. There was an owl in one part. But I think the coolest thing that we saw were shrimp in one of the flooded passages that we went into. And these guys were really neat. I mean, they're probably blind because there's total darkness where they live. Their bodies were completely transparent. You shine a light into the water, and I mean, you could see their organs through their shells. So I thought that was pretty cool, just because it was so unique, and you know, potentially it could have even been a new species. So again, that's one of the things that I love the most about doing these projects. It's getting to places that others don't go to, and you know, just discovering remarkable things, even though you know it's only an inch or two or a few centimeters long. That's still pretty significant to me. So yeah, I think on the biologic side it was definitely the shrimp, but I just love the speleothems that form in the caves. These big rock artifacts that form so slowly because you've got water that has to drip and precipitate its mineralogy. So I mean, it's art in itself how these things grow. So yeah, caves are pretty neat, and if you ever get a chance to pop out and explore.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about Ms. Alexander's class? Let's see if I can turn your mic back on. Do you guys have another question for Simon?
We do? Caitlin? No, Jessica's going to go. Jessica.
Okay. My name's Jessica, and when are you going on your next trip?
Well, Jessica, I've got a few projects planned. It looks like we'll be heading to the Canadian Arctic this summer. I hope to get back to Oman in April and finish a project that I started there. I'd like to go to Thailand in the fall and paddle some rivers looking for dinosaur bones. But the next two upcoming projects are going to happen fairly quickly. They're going to happen in March. The beginning of March, I'm going to Hawaii to do an exercise physiology project. So that's basically looking how the body responds to activity. We're going to start on our stand-up paddle boards, paddle 10 miles downwind, it's called, so you're going with the prevailing winds, kind of like surfing. Then we get on our road bikes, ride to the top of a 10,000-foot volcano called Haleakala, so that's right from the ocean. That's about 50 miles. Then we're going to run a marathon inside the volcano's crater, get on our mountain bikes, and then mountain bike trails down the other side to the opposite side of the island. That's on Maui. And then when I get back, I'm going to do something similar, but in the Canadian Rocky Mountains, and I'm going to try and set a speed record across a mountain ridge near where I live. So it'll be covered in snow and a little bit dangerous, but you know, I'll be training pretty hard and have my technical skills together. So hopefully it will go well for us. But those are the next two that will be in March, and then after that we've got some big ones coming up throughout the rest of the year.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Do Mr. Greenfield's class again. Do you guys have a question for Simon?
Yeah, we got one more.
Wonderful.
Hi, my name is Justin. What was one of your most fascinating animals you saw when you were in Madagascar?
Hi, Justin. Fascinating animals. Well, we saw so many lemurs, and they were amazing. I remember seeing the first sifaka, which is the big white lemur, and that was pretty spectacular for me. It was the first lemur I'd seen in Madagascar, so I was pretty happy about it, and I was with Travis at the time. But excuse me, my favorite animal from Madagascar had to be the scorpions. I think scorpions are pretty neat, and they were all over the place. So you really had to watch where you stepped and shake your shoes out every morning. But I thought those were pretty cool. So lemurs are beautiful, but the scorpions are neat.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Mr. Greenfield. That's wonderful. Let's see if we've got Mrs. Capone. Do you guys have a question for Simon? Let me just turn your mic on. You might have to turn your mic on there. We can see you. Can't hear you yet.
Oh, I see IT running over again.
Yeah. There we go.
Hi, America.
Hi, Erica.
I was wondering, what is your favorite part of your trip?
The favorite part of this trip to Madagascar?
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoy seeing things for the first time. So, flying over the country just to get to the camp, I mean, that was amazing for me. I definitely enjoyed being rescued. That was a good feeling. And yeah, I mean, it's really hard to pin down. There were so many incredible moments out there. Every time we discovered something new, good moments that we shared with each other, laughs at the camp. When we explored the national park, or the touristy part of the national park in the south, where they had built bridges and ladders, that was spectacular as well. So there weren't too many points in the trip where I really wasn't having a good time, because we just saw so many new and interesting things every day, and shared it with good people. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Julie added a new photo.
Let's see. Mrs. Fruit, does your class have another question for Simon?
So my class has just been dismissed for lunch, so I'm happy to continue to watch and listen to the other questions that the other students have.
Thank you. Let's see if we got Ms. Alexander. Do you guys have a question for Simon? Come on
Yep,
up.
Hamsabi's got one.
Hi, my name is Hamsabi.
Hi.
How many adventures did you go on?
Sorry, I didn't get.
Hello, my name is.
Come on, don't be shy.
My name is Hamsabi. How many adventures did you go on?
How many adventures have I been on?
Yeah.
I think we've done at least 15 adventure science projects, but I've done many, many more than that. I've probably done over 100 endurance races, and just where I live in the mountains, pretty much every time I go out is an adventure. Just before I flew to New York, I was climbing a mountain as part of my training for this winter project that I'm doing, and myself and my training partner, we accidentally set off 4 avalanches, and the wind was brutal at 10,000 feet, so it was cold and your hands are freezing. So I think I count that as an adventure, but not an official one that I'll put on the website. Thanks for the question.
Okay.
Awesome. I think Mr. Greenfield's classes they've gone. So let's see if Mrs. Capone's class, or is that right? Greenfield? Mr. Greenfield?
Yes?
You guys have any more questions, or you are done with questions?
Yeah, no, we have one more.
One more? Great. Come on up.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Daniela.
Hi, Daniela.
How did you get prepared for your trips?
That's a great question, Daniela. How did I get prepared for my trip? Well, I do a lot of research before we head out. I learn about the geography of the area, and then depends on what we're working on. In this one, I learned about the geology of the Tsingy, a little bit more about the limestone. I learned about the dinosaur tracks that have been found in the past. I researched caves that had been found in the area. So basically I filled my brain up with as much information as I could about Madagascar. And then I had to work with Travis and some other people to make sure we had all of the logistical side taken care of, that we had people who could help us prepare our meals. So we had all the right permits to give us permission to go and explore this area, that we had vehicles out there as well. So there was quite a bit of logistics that we worked on too. So Travis and Kensington Tours, they helped us out a lot as well, just with logistics. And then on the physical side, I train a lot. I do a lot of hiking, a lot of running. My television show, I travel around the world doing endurance races. So I try and stay fit and healthy and strong so that I can be a contributor on these projects. But basically, I try and learn as much as I can before I go and keep myself healthy so that if we do get into a tough spot, like when we had to be rescued, that your body's in good enough shape that you won't end up being a liability to the group. And thankfully, all three of us were good there. So that's kind of how it goes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
What about Mrs. Capone? Do your class have another question?
Sure.
Another, yeah, just have to unmute.
There. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Ava.
Hi, Ava.
Why did you start paleontology?
Why did I choose paleontology for school? Well, when I was young, my parents gave me books on dinosaurs and little dinosaur toys. I thought they were the coolest thing. And then I lived near a place. I've lived near Toronto, and there used to be a lot of fossils in my backyard. So when the last glacial period happened, it just bulldozed all these areas that had fossils and kind of dumped it where I ended up living. So, you know, when I was 6 years old, 8 years old, I used to run around and collect fossils. So I always just found it really interesting how ancient organisms can be preserved. And then literally I stumbled upon it again in university. I was doing an undergrad in archaeology and minoring in biology. And so I came across it and fell in love with it again and decided to go and get a PhD in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. How about Ms. Alexander's class? Do you guys have another question for Simon?
Sure, we've got one more.
Great.
My question is, which discovery did you find the most interesting?
Good question. You know, because I love dinosaurs so much, I was extremely excited about the dinosaur tracks. I found it interesting because they weren't very well preserved. They were quite a ways north of the last trackway system. And it wasn't me who found them. It was Jim. So I thought it was very cool that, you know, somebody that I had taught to look for these tracks actually put it to practice and found them. The cave, though, was just spectacular. So, I mean, both were incredible finds, very rewarding. But I think, for me, it's just the dinosaur tracks, just because I like dinosaurs so much. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to come out and listen to Simon's talk today. Thank you, Simon, so much. We had a class all the way from 2 classes from New Jersey, Freehold, New Jersey. We had the Eco Club in Brampton, and we had Mrs. Farouk's class down in Mexico. So all the way from everywhere in North America.
That's phenomenal. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Great to speak with you and meet you today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to get outside and have some fun.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, that's been another installment of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants.